Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we're looking at a small 3-game slate here on Tuesday night. Nate, we would have had a 4th game, but on Monday we all found out that the Bulls will have their next 2 games postponed. Tonight was supposed to be against the Detroit Pistons due to having most of their team on the player health and safety protocol there. So we've only got 3 tonight. In this one, we're looking at the Phoenix Suns taking on the Portland Trailblazers. Phoenix on the second leg of that back-to-back. Nate's got that great article up on playpicks.com as well. Some best bets and player props on there for you as well. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page, as we've got a couple other videos up for you today, including a player prop opportunity that we are going to give you in one of those. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, we're going to look at Suns at Trailblazers here. All 3 road teams are on a back-to-back here. Second time I think we've encountered that early in the season from the schedule makers. The Suns go from the Staples Center, where they lost by 16, surprisingly, last night without DeAndre Ayton or Devin Booker, of course, to Portland. They opened around 3-point favorites. That's dropped to 1 point in some spots as people reacting to their recent loss and the travel. And the total is up to 219.5 at the moment. Before we talk about angles in that one, though, we also got the Warriors on a back-to-back headed from Indiana to MSG. They're -5 on the road, with Steph Curry expected to break the 3-point record tonight. The Raptors, after a 7-game homestand and a back-to-back last night win over Sacramento, they're in Brooklyn, and they're +7.5 now, opened around +9. So that shred shrinking there. So the Blazers are getting a nice rest advantage here, but obviously still without C.J. McCollum. Dame Lillard been back 1 game, still looked rusty, 5 for 17 from the field, 3 for 14 from deep. He's having a career-low shooting performance all year. They have other issues across the board, including from the top down after firing their GM. And they've lost 8 of their last 9 games, only covered twice in that span, failed to cover in 6 of their last 7 without CJ, who is really just as important as Damian Lillard to what they do. Their offense has really plummeted, as you would expect, without having both of those guys available. They're 26th in efficiency in their last 10 games, 27th in net rating, and that includes 24th in offensive rating in 6 home games. We had seen the Blazers be completely night and day at home and the road, just jumping up in terms of offense, jumping down in terms of defensive rating. That really hasn't been the case lately since the bottom's kind of fallen out. They've really just been a disaster, giving up 145 points to the Celtics on their only win on that West Coast road trip. And you look at what they do poorly. They give up a lot of assisted field goals. Phoenix is 4th in assists per game. They're scoring their 8th highest percentage of points off threes. And Phoenix, despite their struggles on the defensive end, continues to limit triples. They're holding opponents to 31% from deep and allowing the second lowest percentage of points off threes, just 23% in their last 3 games. But I'm looking at the Suns struggling on offense on the other end without Devin Booker. They're actually 29th in offensive rating over their last 4. So I think this game kind of screams under, regardless of the result. But I still trust the Suns a lot more to win with defense than I would the Blazers, of course. I don't think the Suns are really going to be losing consecutive games despite the back-to-back situation. Chris Paul has been so durable at age 36, and he's just going to come right back, and his teams generally don't string together many losses. And you look at how they've won against this tough Pacific Division, 20-9 to the under since Chris Paul came aboard last season. They've gone under 4 straight. They've gone under 6 of their last 7. So that's, I think, my most confident bet as far as the game goes. And I wouldn't mind parlaying it with the Suns to win, or with the Suns at just a 1-point spread to get some extra juice there, because I think the Blazers are one of the most dysfunctional teams out there right now, and I still trust that the Suns are one of the best teams in the league, even shorthanded.
100%. And it comes down to what you said. I mean, Phoenix can still play defense, even if they don't have Devin Booker in. It's the the Trailblazers can't play defense no matter what. You take away one of their guards. I mean, we know what their recipe for any kind of success has been since they got Dame and CJ, and it's just outscored the other team essentially. And that's not possible when you don't have CJ. I think it's time. I think Portland, this might be actually a blessing in disguise. It's time to kind of blow it up. And if you're always in anywhere from the 4 to the 7 seed in the West, or even the 3 at that a couple times that they've been, you're not really looking to blow anything up. And when you have a player like Dame Lillard, you're also not looking to blow anything up. So it's really going to hinge upon that for his season. But I think it's too far gone for Portland at this point. And, you look at tonight's matchup, there's a couple conflicting stats coming in. The Suns haven't really been covering against bad teams in their last 5. They actually are 0-4 against the spread when they play a team with a losing record. But the Blazers are, also not winning against good teams or at home. They're 1-3 against the spread in their last 5 as well, with a push there against winning teams as of late, and 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 home games. They're not covering in general, right? 1-4 in their last 5 overall. And yeah, we know where they're at right now on offense and on defense. Last night was just an awful shooting night for the Suns, who came out and lost pretty handily, got beat pretty handily by the Clippers last night, who did not have Paul George. But you saw, what the recipe was for the Clippers last night. And it was just spread it around with a smaller lineup with Marcus Morris at the small ball 5, and spread out the Suns that way. I don't know that you're going to have that opportunity tonight with the Trailblazers. I'm not really scared of guys like Covington pulling the 3. There's not enough right now on the offensive side to help Dame out, and he's not in a position health-wise even to be able to pull this team up by himself and maybe drop 35 to 40 tonight, which is probably what it would take. And I think under is the play all day and every day tonight. If this was a game where I felt like Portland could hang in any way on offense, then I would. But you mentioned what the Suns have been doing on defense lately and how that offensive rating has just plummeted for the Blazers, unsurprisingly, without CJ and Dame for most of that stretch as of late. There's nothing here to tell me that Portland could pull it off short of Dame just pulling something crazy out, and Anthony Simons continuing to play well, which he's had an uptick in his production. You might still be able to find some value on him in places like DFS or even some player props, which we're still waiting on as well. But yeah, either way, that under and the Suns tonight feels like a pretty solid play no matter what.
Yeah, and the Suns have held Dame to 23 points per game and 27% from deep in their last 2 meetings. So it seems like they have a recipe to keep him from blowing up. Probably just put Mikal Bridges on him. You don't have to worry about McCollum on the wing. You got Derrick Jones Jr., not necessarily a versatile offensive threat there. So you can put your best defender on Dame. And you look at what the Blazers do poorly is they're dead last in opponents' effective field goal and 3-point shooting. Well, the Suns don't even shoot threes. And the Blazers giving up a ton of fourth quarter points, but they don't have Devin Booker. They don't have their closer, really. So with JaVale McGee, if he's starting over Ayton, I definitely don't love that offensively, despite the fact that McGee has gotten 34 points in his last 2 starts. A bit fluky there. All he can really do is dunk and throw up wild running hooks. Without Booker, they go from 112 points per game to 104. Their offensive rating drops in kind. Yeah, and you've seen the Suns cover or go over more often when they're favored in these last couple of years in the CP3 era. But this is not necessarily a situation where they should be favored, or it's more of a pick'em line. It's more of an underdog situation for the Suns, a bounce back, where it's not like they're going to come out and light the world on fire. And their home road splits are pretty notable. Definitely gone under more often on the road this season, scoring fewer points per game. So I think, everything indicates that we're not going to get to 219, which is a pretty high total given where these teams are at.
Yeah, 100%. Let's not overthink this, right? Devin Booker's not playing. Portland doesn't have the same offense. Phoenix has been relying on defense for a while this season, even though they've had a solid, efficient offense. It's about, lower scoring games for them and playing defense. So I think we keep it simple tonight with those 2 picks there for picking those Suns and picking that under. And any way you want to shape those bets to get a little bit more juice or not. That's where we are looking tonight. And that is all the time we have for today on this one. Make sure to like and subscribe, as we've got a couple other videos for those other 2 games up today. Until we see you next, happy betting.